Everyone, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why powerful nations take sides that seem to go against logic? Why would America, the self-proclaimed defender of democracy, openly support Pakistan, a country that's had a long, volatile history against a democratic powerhouse like India? It's not just about politics. It's not just about borders. It's about power, strategy, and influence. Because in global politics, nothing is personal, everything is strategic. In the world of global politics, one of the most misunderstood truths is that decisions aren't made based on morality, friendship, or loyalty. They are made based on interests, strategic, economic, military, and diplomatic interests. When people ask why America, a nation that positions itself as a champion of democracy and human rights, would openly support Pakistan against India, the answer lies not in ethics but in advantage. This isn't about who's right or wrong, it's about who serves whose purpose at any given moment. America doesn't make alliances out of kindness, it forms relationships that serve its long-term global objectives. If Pakistan offers access to a region that's volatile yet critical, like its border with Afghanistan, its influence over the Taliban, or its proximity to China, then Pakistan becomes a useful ally, no matter how problematic its internal politics might be. Even with known issues of extremism and instability, Pakistan still holds a strategic seat at the table, and the United States knows that keeping them close helps manage the larger chessboard of South Asia. On the other hand, India, while being the world's largest democracy and a rising economic power, doesn't always align with the immediate geopolitical needs of the U.S. India is strong, independent, and doesn't always bend to pressure. This makes it less controllable and therefore, in some scenarios, less strategically convenient than Pakistan. That doesn't mean India is weak. It simply means it cannot be used as easily to serve short-term goals. This harsh truth reveals something deeper. Global relationships are built on utility, not unity. It is naive to expect nations to act out of loyalty or shared values. The United States, like every powerful nation, calculates its moves to protect its dominance and maintain influence wherever possible. If supporting Pakistan helps check China's expansion, manages terrorism in the region, or maintains military presence, then that support continues, regardless of India's protests or public opinion. For individuals, this truth can be eye-opening. It reminds us that life isn't always fair, and waiting around for recognition, support, or justice might be a waste of time. Just as nations must learn to assert themselves to be respected, people must learn to advocate for their own worth. The world doesn't reward those who deserve support, it rewards those who command it. Being moral, right, or even powerful isn't enough. You have to be strategically essential. So, when we see America supporting Pakistan over India, it's not betrayal, it's business. It's not favoritism, it's strategy, and that's the brutal, unapologetic reality of geopolitics. In the end, understanding this can free us from unrealistic expectations and push us to operate with more power, more clarity, and more strategy in every area of life. When examining the relationship between the United States and Pakistan, it becomes clear that the support extended to Pakistan is not rooted in shared values or democratic ideals, but in strategic necessity. Pakistan has positioned itself as a crucial player in a region filled with tension, conflict, and shifting power structures. For decades, it has maintained a delicate balance of being both a problem and a solution in the eyes of the West. That duality is exactly what makes it indispensable to powers like America. Geographically, Pakistan sits at the crossroads of key global flashpoints. It borders Afghanistan, a country that has long been a center of U.S. military and political interest, particularly after 9/11. The U.S. relied heavily on Pakistan for logistical support, intelligence cooperation, and even airspace during its military campaigns in the region. Whether willingly or reluctantly, Pakistan played the part of a gateway nation, and America took full advantage of that access. Furthermore, Pakistan shares a sensitive and complex border with China, America's greatest long-term rival on the global stage. This proximity adds another layer of geopolitical value to Pakistan. Any foothold the U.S. can maintain near China is considered a strategic asset. Supporting Pakistan, even with all its flaws, allows the U.S. to keep a hand in a region that otherwise might be dominated by Chinese influence. In addition to geography, Pakistan holds another trump card, its nuclear arsenal. As one of the few nuclear-armed Muslim-majority nations, Pakistan's stability is not just a regional concern, it's a global one. The U.S. cannot afford to let Pakistan fall into chaos, because the consequences of unsecured nuclear materials or radical factions gaining power would be catastrophic. Thus, America often extends support, aid, and diplomacy not because it agrees with Pakistan's policies, but because it is trying to contain greater risks. Economically and militarily, Pakistan knows how to negotiate its relevance. It often positions itself as a victim of terrorism while simultaneously being accused of harboring extremists. This contradiction confuses many, but in international politics, it only increases Pakistan's bargaining power. The message is clear: we are part of the problem, but we're also key to the solution. And the United States plays along, not out of trust, but out of necessity. This relationship shows that utility outweighs integrity in the world of diplomacy. The U.S. might criticize Pakistan publicly, impose conditions, or push for reforms, but behind closed doors, it continues to offer support. Why? Because Pakistan still serves a role that America needs played. It's a chess piece too valuable to remove from the board. So, when people ask why America supports Pakistan despite its track record, the answer is simple. Pakistan is not supported because it's right. It's supported because it's useful. And in a world where power and positioning matter more than ideals, usefulness wins every time. India, as one of the fastest growing economies and the world's largest democracy, holds immense potential on the global stage. It has a rich cultural heritage, a strong technological sector, and a growing influence in international affairs. But despite all its strengths, India often finds itself playing a restrained and cautious role in global politics. While nations like Pakistan push aggressively for attention, resources, and strategic leverage, India tends to play the role of the rational actor, the nation that waits for recognition rather than demanding it. This diplomatic restraint, while rooted in principle and history, can sometimes be a strategic weakness in an aggressive geopolitical environment. Unlike countries that loudly assert their value, India often assumes its contributions and democratic values will automatically earn respect and support. However, the global order does not reward those who wait patiently. It rewards those who push, persuade, and pressure. It's not enough to be morally right or economically strong. One must also be politically shrewd. In this sense, India has been too diplomatic in a world that often requires strategic assertiveness. For example, India has long faced cross-border terrorism, hostile propaganda, and diplomatic challenges from Pakistan. Yet, it continues to engage in peace talks and goodwill gestures even when faced with aggression. This tendency to maintain restraint has made India look like the mature player, but it has also allowed other countries to take advantage of its silence. While Pakistan uses its instability as a tool to draw international support and sympathy, India's consistent efforts to appear strong and self-reliant often leave it looking isolated or overlooked. This imbalance is what allows countries like the United States to extend support to Pakistan while remaining neutral or non-committal toward India in key conflicts. They know India will not overreact. They know India will manage the situation with diplomacy, and that predictability, while respectable, makes India less of a priority in urgent geopolitical calculations. To change this, India must stop playing nice and start playing smart. That doesn't mean aggression or abandoning diplomacy, but it does mean knowing when to assert power, when to draw lines, and when to demand respect. India has leverage economic, military, cultural, and strategic, but unless it uses that leverage, it remains underutilized. Nations must learn to market their value, and India is no exception. The lesson here applies not just to India, but to individuals as well. In life, being good is not enough. You must be strategic. Waiting quietly for recognition often leads to disappointment. You have to stand up, speak out, and take control of your narrative. Just as India must redefine its role with confidence and boldness, so must every person seeking influence and impact in their own world. In both global politics and personal life, one timeless principle holds true: power respects power. It does not respect silence, hesitation, or passivity. When nations, leaders, or individuals step back, hoping that being good or right will earn them respect, they often find themselves ignored, underestimated, or even exploited. The world, harsh as it may sound, does not reward passivity. It rewards presence and pressure. This is especially evident in the context of countries like India and Pakistan. While India often chooses diplomacy, silence, or restraint, Pakistan applies pressure, creates urgency, and demands global attention, whether through conflict, crisis, or negotiation. As a result, despite its internal instability, Pakistan remains relevant in the eyes of global powers like the United States. It's not because it is more ethical or democratic, it's because it forces the world to notice. Power doesn't respond to quiet strength unless that strength is backed by bold action. Silence may be virtuous, but in the world of geopolitics, silence can also be seen as weakness. If you're not actively pushing your agenda, someone else will push theirs at your expense. Nations that stand still become battlegrounds for those who move. The same principle applies to every individual. How often do people wait for opportunities to come, for someone to recognize their hard work, for justice to naturally occur? But life doesn't work that way. If you don't speak up, step forward, or act decisively, you become invisible to those in power. Whether you're in a workplace, a relationship, or building a career, confidence and action command attention, not quiet talent alone. In politics, influence is maintained through displays of capability, military strength, economic clout, diplomatic leverage. In personal life, it's earned through leadership, courage, and consistency. Those who win are not necessarily the most deserving, but often the most determined and strategically loud. This doesn't mean being aggressive or arrogant. It means knowing your worth and refusing to be sidelined. History shows us that every time a person or a nation takes a passive stance for too long, they lose ground. Metaphorically and literally, nations lose borders, people lose opportunities, relationships lose respect. If you want to be respected, you must show strength. Not just moral strength, but visible, tangible strength. This is why it's vital to move with intention, speak with clarity, and act with courage. Just as powerful countries make moves to secure their influence, you must make moves to secure your voice, your future, and your place. Power does not wait for permission. It claims space, it commands attention, and it never apologizes for existing. So whether you're a nation or an individual, the message is clear: stand tall, speak up, and never shrink to fit the silence. Because if you don't claim your power, someone else will. In a world driven by competition, power, and influence, one of the most dangerous things you can do, whether as a nation or as an individual, is to wait for someone to choose you, to wait for validation, support, recognition, or opportunity. The harsh truth is that nobody is coming to save you. No one is sitting around thinking about how to help you rise. If you want something, respect, attention, influence, or power, you have to choose yourself first. You have to be your own strategy, your own advocate, and your own movement. This principle is as true for India in global politics as it is for any human being trying to grow and succeed in life. Take a look at how the world operates. Nations like Pakistan demand attention. They push their agenda. They claim urgency. They create a narrative, even if it's flawed. And because they claim their space, they get noticed. On the other hand, India often expects its democratic values, growing economy, and global goodwill to automatically earn it the respect it deserves. But politics doesn't work that way. The world doesn't reward virtue alone, it rewards those who assert themselves. Likewise, in your own life, you can't sit back and expect that hard work alone will get you to the top. You can't expect that being nice, humble, or quiet will win you opportunities. If you're not speaking up, showing up, or taking risks, someone else will take what was meant for you. Life is not fair, it's strategic. That's why choosing yourself is not selfish, it's survival. When you choose yourself, you stop waiting for others to see your potential. You start investing in it. You stop asking for permission. You start taking initiative. This doesn't mean being arrogant. It means believing that your time, your energy, your ideas, and your voice matter, and acting accordingly. It means showing up even when you feel invisible. It means creating your own momentum instead of waiting for someone to hand it to you. Nations that rise, leaders that thrive, and people who leave a mark on the world all share one thing in common. They didn't wait for a savior. They became the force that moved their destiny forward, and that's what you must become. So the next time you feel overlooked, unsupported, or underestimated, remember this. The world mirrors back the energy you give it. If you carry yourself like someone who matters, the world will start to treat you that way. If you act like you're a side character in your own story, that's exactly how the world will cast you. You are not here to beg for a seat at the table. You're here to build your own table. Your power is not waiting out there in someone else's hand, it's already within you. Choose yourself every single time, because if you don't, no one else will. In the end, this isn't just a story about America, Pakistan, or India. This is a reflection of how the world truly operates, a world where power respects power, strategy beats silence, and usefulness outweighs righteousness. Waiting for fairness in global politics is like waiting for a storm to pass when you should be learning how to dance in the rain. If you want to be respected, if you want to be supported, and if you want to be heard, you must speak louder, move smarter, and stand stronger. Nations rise not because they are right, but because they are relentless. People rise not because they are chosen, but because they choose themselves. So let this be a wake-up call for nations, for leaders, and for you. The time of waiting is over. The time of playing small is over. This is the moment to claim your power, speak your truth, and build your influence, not because the world gives it to you, but because you demand it, deserve it, and own it. The world doesn't reward silence, it rewards strength. So stop waiting and start rising. Fire